Hi there, BookTube. It's Roz, and this video should be coming out to you on the 1st of January 2025. And that's a special day for me because it's my fifth birthday of this channel, my 5th anniversary on BookTube. And I'm so happy that I made that decision to start producing videos of my own after participating in BookTube for a couple of years. And before I do anything else in this video, I want to give the most enormous and, really heartfelt thank you to all of you. You that watch these videos, that subscribe to the channel, that comment and provoke discussion in the comment section, and join me in reading events, or let me participate in yours, or buddy read things with me. It adds so much to my reading life, having all those sort of connections and relationships and that stimulating kind of bookish sort of world that I get to be part of through BookTube and through all of you. So that's a very real thank you. So I'll celebrate that by talking about what are my plans for 2025. What are my plans for the channel? What are my plans for my reading? And I'm going to kind of try this year to find a sensible balance between planned reading, because I love to plan, I love to think ahead and anticipate what I'm going to read, but also having enough time for some sort of more spontaneous reading, things that, new books that come out, things that are recommended to me, things that I just see and appeal. So that's the hope. Okay, but I will undoubtedly read loads of books because that's what I always do. Any definites in there? Yes, there are some definites, because I expect to take part in a few kind of year-long things. And number one of those is Reading the Globe Fiction, which is a year-long shared reading event that is about reading recent fiction that's either translated or otherwise sort of global, virtually all translated. And there's one book a month, and I'm really excited about this. Thank you, all of you that have already kind of said you'd like to take part. The Discord server is up and running and full of conversation already. I do please think about dipping in and out, reading some or all of the 12 books that Katya and I have picked. And our January book that I will start very soon is Clean by Chilean author Alia Trabucco Zerán. It came out in, let me get this right, 2023. But the English translation by Sophie Hughes came out in 2024. And it's kind of like an unusual thriller type thing. It starts with there's a dead girl and a maid locked in a room, and goes on from there. It's not long, and I think it's going to be a good read. Katya is also hosting sort of 2 other sort of threads of Reading the Globe, one of which is YA and middle grade fiction, and that's jointly with Jack of Spread Book Joy, and I expect to dip in and out of that and read some of those. And also a thread of sort of global classics in translation, and she's picked 7 of them, and I hope and expect to pick up on a few of those as well. So those are sort of year-long things. Another year-long plan is that Tilly and I, Tilly of Tilly's Shelf, have agreed that we're going to carry on with our 2024 series into 2025 of reading a work of contemporary fiction each month, both reading it and then making a video review discussion video together. And the first of those for January is The Borrowed Hills by Scott Preston. Came out in 2024. It's about a pair of Cumbrian sheep farmers who are traumatised by having to destroy their flocks at the height of the foot and mouth disease epidemic, and how they respond to that trauma. Intriguing. Sounds a bit dark, and well, we shall see. Now, I'm loving reading contemporary fiction with Tilly, but I also kind of quite miss the discussing drama kind of thing we did before, where we'd read a play each month and talk about it. So when I saw that Angelia of Reads and Rereads had a year-long plan called Endless Drama to read a couple of plays every month and discuss them, I thought, I'm in. I've got to give this a go. I may not read all 24 plays, and well, quite a few of them are ones I've read already, but I will definitely read many of them. And starting with one of the two in January, which is RUR, or that stands for Rossum's Universal Robots, 1922 play by Karel Čapek. It's where the word robot came from in common usage. Very intriguing. Yeah, I'm in for that. Another reading event that's a new one, but one that's been going, well, 2025 will be its third year, is Historathon, which is about reading non-fiction history books. And I've dipped into that in the past, but I decided that in 2025, I'm going to commit to Historathon. It works in quarters. It was initiated by Vin of Revenant Reads. Then there's a number of other wonderful hosts, including three that I know well, Debs of Rain Read Stuff, and Gareth of Book Songs and Other Magic, and Mark of Book Time with Elvis. But there's others. And each quarter, you are invited to read at least one history book about from a particular period. So the first quarter of the year is prehistory up to 500 CE, and then the next quarter is 500 to 1500. So it goes on up to the present day. And four books a year doesn't sound history books. I love reading history. Why do I not read it that much? This is gonna push me into it, and I will start in January, not so finish in January, my book for the first quarter, and that's The Darkening Age, The Christian Destruction of the Classical World, by Catherine Nixey. It's from 2017. Steve read it in 2024 and said it was fascinating, and it appeals to me because it's about that period in European history, the sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th centuries that we often don't read that much about or think that much about. So I'm interested in that one. There's, I think, 3 other year-long events that I expect to kind of just dip into, and occasionally read something when it's something I haven't read before or appeals to me. One of those is the FOMO Book Club, which is hosted by Jack of Spread Bookjoy again, and Gemma of Gemma Books. And there's a couple of books that they've got planned that I'm in for, but none in January. Another is Mary Andrea is kind of hosting the Books and Bocadillos year-long reading Latina and Latino authors, and there's a few in there that I'm definitely interested to pick up on. One that I am joining in January is Gareth of Book Songs and Other Magics Belief and Behaviour reading event. So he's picked a book for every couple of months through the year, and most of them I may not read, but I am going to read the January one, because that's The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. Now that is one of those, those books that you've heard about endlessly and feel that you ought to have read, and almost feel like you know so much about it you have read but actually haven't. Well, that's one of those books for me. So I thought, yes, I shall grab that and read that in January. I also, over the course of the year, will keep going with reading books by Agatha Christie as part of Agatha for Alice, which is hosted by Emily of Novelle Novels. Not necessarily the Agatha Christie book she chooses each month, but she says just read an Agatha Christie book, and I love reading Agatha Christie, and it's in memory of Alice of Alice's Giant Bookshelf, who a booktuber that we sadly lost in 2024. So, yeah. those are the year-longy things, of various sorts. Then there's monthly readathon events always, and I love them. But this year, I'm going to obviously 100% commit to the ones that I'm hosting. So that's People April in April, Faulkner in August, losing the name, and Victober in Victober, my absolute favourite. And so, I'll be all in on all of those, of course. And I have to also own up to having pretty much picked something for most of the prompts of Jane Austen in July already, and it's, the 1st of January. That's only fair, though, because this year is the 250th anniversary of Austen's birth, so, it should be especially Austen-y year, and I hope it will be for me. Others I will probably just dip into. I like the way readathons add a bit of variety to my reading, prompt me to think, I must read something Australian or something, some nature writing, or, they give that extra sort of push to something from the Caribbean, I like that. But I won't be reading all the prompts of all of them because that would leave no space for the spontaneous and the random. Now, something that will bring a random or sort of definitely a wild card element to my reading is that I've signed up again for being a judge for the BookTube prize, and months when I'm judging, suddenly I will have 6 books to read in 2 months that I won't have chosen, and who knows what they will be, although they're going to be good. But another wildcard element, I guess, is the books that are chosen for my in-person book group, and that sort of sometimes they're things that I really want to read, and sometimes they're not. But I always read the book, and sometimes I kind of strike lucky with something that I would have passed me by, and instead I really enjoy. Our January book for my real life book group is Mother's Boy by Patrick Gale. That came out in 2022 and I did miss it, so I'm pleased to be sort of brought back to read that, because it's a book set in Cornwall between World War I and World War II. It's about a mother-son relationship, and it's sort of inspired by the life of the poet Charles Causley, whose work I know, so sounds like an interesting one. Another element in my reading that I particularly value is buddy reads, and often the things that I buddy read turn out to be some of the most memorable books of the year, because I suppose you give them that bit of extra attention because you're discussing them with one or a small group of other readers. My first buddy read of the year is going to be The Voyage Home by Pat Barker. And I'm reading that with Berna of Berna's Bookish Adventures, and we read it's the third part of Barker's trilogy, and we read the second part together. And these are set kind of in and around the Trojan War, but looking at the Trojan War story more from the perspective of the women involved. And I know that's going to be a delight, because reading with Berna always is, but also because Barker is she knows what she's doing. She's really good at writing those sort of kind of going back to sort of mythology and classical stories, and writing versions of them that appeal to the present day audience. Now, thinking of the Trojan War, though, I have another plan for myself this year, which is to embark on a new long slow read, this time of Homer's Odyssey. So it's the aftermath. It's the aftermath of the Trojan War and Odysseus' troubled journey home from Troy. I will, as I did with the Iliad earlier this year, I will listen to the audio version of the translation by Emily Wilson and read the paper version of the translation by Robert Fagles. And I know that works for me as a way of really getting into something like the Odyssey, that's in a way old and alien, but also connects you with the past in such an immediate way, because people are people whenever. The other kind of buddy ready thing I'll be doing in January, though, is I'm part of a group that's reading all the works available in English of Claudia Piñeiro, the Argentine writer. And the January book is one I've already read, Elena Knows. But I think, but then following after that, there's two that I haven't yet read, which I will throw myself into 100%. And probably one of those will start in January. And that's A Crack in the Wall. And then the last, Betty Boo, I think will be in February or March. And then there's a couple more, but they're ones that I've already read. So I'll revisit them with the group. Another kind of personal kind of challenge that I'm doing by myself, although there's a few of you, more of you out there that are doing the same challenge, I think, is this is where my channel name comes from, in fact, Scallydandling About the Books. My Scallydandle challenge is to try and read a book by an author from every country in the world. Now, I have completed the vast majority of that Scallydandle, but I have like kind of 10 countries left that are all small countries, island nations, very hard to get hold of a book from those countries or by an author that is, genuinely from those countries, not, second generation migrant or, a settler there. But I would really like in this year, sort of as part of I've been on BookTube for 5 years, to complete that challenge. And I think what I need to do is I need to settle for reading, in some cases, a short story or a poem or two, something like that, an essay by a writer from those little countries that I've got left, and use that to complete that challenge, and then live in hope that a more substantial book by someone from those countries will emerge over the next few years, available in English and, not for like £100 from some obscure source, so that I can go back and read something more substantive from those places. So that's my intention, and you can hold me to that. So that's my January and the year ahead. I really hope that, as I say, you will join me for some of those things, particularly reading the Globe, but anything else that if you want to suggest a buddy read or involve me in a group read or take part in the other sort of reading events and readathons and so on that I'm involved in or taking part in, the joy of sharing. That's what I love about BookTube. So roll on 2025 and another year of wonderful books.